recently started a penny stock subscription service for part of my newsletter subscribers on stockbarometer.com, and the results were pretty good. I'll show you here. We had a 21% annual or average return on all trades, a 4.5 profit to loss ratio. We had some amazing returns. So someone has asked me if I could do some penny stock analyses on the Indian stock market. And I admit I'm not familiar with the Indian stock market. I only trade on the US market, and I look into both the Taiwanese and the Japanese market. But I did this gentleman a favor, and I went through all of what you could consider to be penny stocks in the Indian National Stock Exchange and Bombay Stock Exchange. And I picked out 3 or 5 of the best penny stocks on those exchanges as per my predictions for 2015. So we are going to use the definition of $5 and under for a penny stock. So that would be about 300 rupees right now. So anything below 300 rupees is a fair target for my choices. So I'm going to go through my choices, and in fact, 4 of them out of the 5 are in industry, are basically construction or like some sort of energy stock, and the remaining one is a financial stock. So these are all penny stocks, and what we're looking for when we play penny stocks is we want to find either an opportunity for a upwards breakout, or we want to see an upwards breakout presently occurring. So that is what I have done for these 5 stocks. I chose them based mainly on the industry, the Indian, factory business, the industrial business in India is on the rise as is an emerging market. So those are what I mainly looked at. And then I did the technical analysis, and as you can see, the numbers are moving because the stock exchange is actually open at the moment. Then I did the technical analysis to pick out these 5 stocks from that list. So here they are. The first one is Suzlon Energy Limited. Here is the ticker. It is actually on the Bombay Exchange. The remaining 4 will be on the National Stock Exchange. Now, this company produces wind generators. So what we're looking at is something that is sustainable in the long term because, of course, the world is shifting toward renewable energy and green energy. But more importantly, we're seeing right here, a uh, a sudden breakaway gap that is indeed widening. So at the moment, we can see that this gap right here is getting wider and will not be likely to fill in at least the short term. If you go out further, you'll see that this stock was one that fell to become, I guess it was a penny stock all along, but it fell quite a bit from its point with lots of downward gaps. Eventually, it leveled out, and now we're finally experiencing a upward gap that could bring it to a new high in 2015. So that's the first of the choices. The next, here's the whole list. I'm just going to run through each analysis real quickly for you. The next is on the National Exchange. It is the Hindustan Construction Company. And in the short term, we also have seen a breakaway gap. So here it is. We saw a breakaway gap. It looked like it was going to fill immediately after, but actually it did not fill. And at this point, technically the stock was oversold. So now it's going back up, and it looks like it's going to be going up in the long term. If you look at the stock all the way back from a year, it actually started quite lower than it is now, and we're seeing a possible breakaway from that sort of somewhat bearish, somewhat stable trend right there. The third penny stock in my selection is IDFC NS on the National Stock Exchange. I think this is the financial company. We can take a quick look right here. Yeah, they are like a debt financer. Yeah, debt financing. So what we're seeing here, let's look at the short term. Obviously in the long term they have a general upward trend. It's still technically a penny stock. It's good to get in on. We had a breakaway gap on January 15th, and we're seeing another breakaway gap on March 2nd. So this is a good time to get in, and as you can see, we have a deliberation candlestick, which tends to imply that the following days are going to be upward. And are they? Yes, indeed they are. The fourth stock, IVRCL Limited. This is also in the industrial sector. What we're seeing on March 2nd looks to be a breakaway gap, but technically it's not a gap because these two candlesticks more or less touch. Um, but if it does indeed turn out to be a breakaway gap, and we have this deliberation or this doji star here, is it up or down? It's up. So there you go. It could be a breakaway, a real breakaway, and you would have lots of room for profits. Let's look at the long term. So it has fallen quite a bit. It might be headed up to a new high. It might be headed up to what was previously a support and now is a resistance, which I would say is about 23. But if it beats 23 rupees, we could see it at an all new high, or it could reach this other resistance, which seems a bit weaker, or might actually be quite strong. I'm not sure right now, at around 30. But anyway, this is a pretty safe one, I believe, and it's one to get in if you're watching this video, on the day of the update, which is March 3rd. So if you get in on now, you're getting in early, so it's a better bet for penny stock. And one interesting thing about penny stocks in India is that there's so many penny stocks in India by US currency standards that they trade like normal stocks. You don't see so much pump and dump that you commonly see in the US market. So once something goes up in India, it doesn't drop as quickly as a penny stock in Japan would, or in the US would, sorry. But it actually acts like a normal stock. So if it does have a breakaway gap and it moves upward, it doesn't hit a top and then rapidly fall back to where it began. In fact, it acts more like a blue chip stock. All right, so this fifth one is the Bombay Dyeing and Manufacturing Company. They deal with, well, dyes, I guess. So it's another industrial company. They are a bit higher than our other penny stocks here, but again, we see something that looks kind of like a breakaway gap. It goes up, fell back below the gap filled, so indeed it wasn't. But we're seeing that again, and what we're actually seeing here is a new level of support at around 72.5, and that's very good for a stock that looks like this, because we're pretty much at an all-time high. So if we have a new support and the stock is going up, well, it dipped today, but keep your eye on this. If it is protected by that support and it continues with this upward trend, you're going to see room for a lot of profits on this penny stock. So that is it. Please subscribe if you want to know more about penny stocks. I will be putting more penny stock videos up as they seem to be quite popular. Though I'm mainly an options guy, I actually got into investing. I got into investing through blue chip stocks and ETFs, but I actually made most of my stock trading money through penny stocks. So this is something I'm familiar with and I'm very comfortable talking about. If I get a good response to my penny stock videos, I will continue putting them up. Otherwise, I will focus on the stock options, gaps, and trading psychology. So please subscribe.